London, winter, 1967. A man walks down a rain-soaked street in Mayfair. He is the most famous face on the planet. Every studio wants him. Every woman wants to know him. Every man wants to be him. He walks alone. No entourage, no bodyguards, no photographers trailing behind. And then he stops, dead still. On the pavement ahead, there is an old man, trembling, thin coat, cracked shoes, one hand pressed against a brick wall to keep himself upright, the other hand shaking badly at his side. The most famous man in the world stands there, looks at this old man for a long moment, reaches into his coat, and does something that nobody in Hollywood would ever do. Something no camera captured, something almost nobody knew about for decades. He gives everything he has, every single penny in his pocket, and then he walks away, without a word, without turning back. That is Sean Connery, not James Bond, not the man on the poster, the real one. But to understand why he did that, you need to go back. Far back. All the way to Edinburgh, to a tenement building in Fountainbridge, to a boy named Tommy who had nothing, let me tell you. Act 1. The boy from Fountainbridge, Edinburgh, Scotland. 1930s. Fountainbridge is a working-class district of crumbling tenement blocks, factory smoke, and cold stone streets. The kind of neighborhood where everybody is poor and nobody pretends otherwise. Thomas Sean Connery is born on August 25, 1930. His father works a factory and drives lorries. His mother takes in ironing and cleaning to keep the family from sinking. They share a 2-room flat, no central heating. In winter, the walls sweat with cold. Young Tommy wakes before dawn and can see his own breath in the air of his own bedroom. He is not a boy who complains about this. By age 9, he has a job, delivering milk before school, every morning. Dark outside, freezing cold, rattling bottles across cobblestone streets before most adults open their eyes. He earns almost nothing. He hands every penny to his mother. He quits school at 13, not because he wants to, because the family needs more money than school can provide. He gets a job as a milkman, then as a laborer, then in the most unusual place imaginable, a funeral parlor, polishing coffins. A teenager, alone in a room with the dead, polishing wood by lamplight so strangers can say a decent goodbye to someone they loved. He does this job with complete professionalism. He takes pride in it, because that is who he is. Later he will say, those years taught him something no school could. That dignity is not given to you by money or status. That it is something you carry inside yourself, or you do not have it at all. At 17, he joins the Royal Navy. He wants the world. He wants to escape Fountainbridge. And for a while, he does. But then his body betrays him. Stomach ulcers. At 19, he is medically discharged, back in Edinburgh. No Navy, no plan, no money, still wearing the same kind of worn boots he grew up in. Most people would stop here. Tommy Connery is not most people. Act 2. The pivot, Edinburgh to London, 1950s. He takes every job he can find. Lifeguard, laborer, artist's model at Edinburgh College of Art, standing completely still for hours while students sketch him, earning money with nothing but the physical presence he was born with. Then something changes. He starts lifting weights, not casually, obsessively. Every spare hour, every ounce of energy not going into his jobs goes into iron. By 1953, he is in London, placing third in the tall man category at the Mr. Universe competition. And there, a casting agent notices him. Not just his body, his movement, the way he carries himself, the way he fills a room without trying. Someone mentions a touring production of South Pacific. He auditions. No formal training, no experience. He gets the part. He is 23 years old, standing on a professional stage for the first time. He cannot sing perfectly. His Scottish accent is so thick you could cut it with a knife. But he has something that cannot be taught in any drama school on earth. Absolute, unshakable presence. When Sean Connery walks into a room, every person looks at him. Not because he is loud, because something in the air changes. Between tours, he is doing odd jobs again. Construction, bouncing at clubs, sleeping on other people's floors. Broke, perpetually broke, but moving forward with a stubbornness that borders on the supernatural. He studies, reads everything, Stanislavski, Shakespeare, teaching himself what expensive drama schools would have taught him, one library book and one late-night performance at a time. He is not waiting to be discovered. He is building himself deliberately from the ground up. The way you build anything in Fountainbridge, with your hands in the cold, without applause. Act 3. The door opens, London, 1961. When the producers of Dr. No are searching for their James Bond, they see dozens of men, trained men, men with the right accents and the right schools and the right connections. Then Sean Connery walks in. He does not perform for them. He does not try to impress them. He answers their questions, stands up, and walks out with the same unhurried authority he has carried since he was delivering milk at 5 in the morning. The producers watch him through the window, watch him cross the street. And something about that walk, that panther-like stride of a man who has never needed anyone's permission to occupy space, tells them everything. He is cast. Ian Fleming initially objects. He wants someone more polished, more upper class, a gentleman, not a rough-edged Scotsman from a tenement block. He changes his mind fast. Dr. No releases in 1962. The world does not just accept Sean Connery as Bond. The world decides he is the only possible definition of what Bond could ever be. The character, written by Fleming as a refined English gentleman, is permanently rewritten in the public consciousness by a working-class Scottish boy who polished coffins. Fleming is so shaken by Connery's magnetism that he subsequently rewrites Bond's backstory to give the character a Scottish father. The milkman has arrived. Act 4. Winter. London, 1967. And now we are back on that rain-soaked Mayfair pavement. He is 37 years old, the biggest movie star on earth. 5 Bond films in 5 years. The pressure is crushing. Studios want more. Everyone wants a piece. He is fighting the machine, insisting on roles outside Bond, beginning the slow and costly process of asserting ownership over his own image. He is walking alone because he always walks alone when he needs to think, and he sees the old man. The man is not begging, not holding out a hand or a cup. He is simply standing against a wall, trembling with cold and age, trying to maintain his footing on wet pavement, dressed in a coat that was probably decent once, 20 years ago, wearing the particular expression of someone who has been invisible for a very long time. Sean Connery stops. Around him, London keeps moving. Taxis splash through puddles. Businessmen in good coats walk past without breaking stride. Not one of them stops. Not one of them even slows down. The city has a way of making invisible things stay invisible. He stands there and looks at this man, and in his face, for just a moment, something ancient and Edinburgh cold and Fountainbridge true passes through his eyes. He has been this man. Not this exact man, not this age, not this street. But he knows this feeling. The cold that gets into your bones before sunrise. The particular silence of being unseen in a city full of people. He grew up surrounded by men like this. Men who worked hard and got old and ended up leaning against walls while the world rushed past. He reaches into his coat, takes out his wallet, removes everything in it, every note, every coin, steps forward, presses it into the old man's hands, does not make a speech, does not wait for gratitude, does not look back. He walks on. This story is not from a press release. It surfaces years later, told by a witness who was walking behind Connery that evening, who watched the whole thing happen in about 40 seconds. 40 seconds. No words. That is the scene. That is the whole scene. Act 5. The long victory. The career continues. The fights with studios over money and respect, most of which he wins because he fights them with the same blunt, immovable patience he has used against everything since he was 13. He walks away from Bond in 1967, turns down millions, comes back briefly on his own terms, walks away for good. He spends the 1970s and 1980s building a wider range, refusing to become a product. Then, in 1987, Brian De Palma casts him in The Untouchables. He plays Jim Malone, an Irish-American cop. He wins the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor at age 57. A man who left school at 13. A man who polished coffins for money. Standing on the stage at the Shrine Auditorium holding the most famous trophy in cinema, looking exactly like someone who expected to be there all along. In 1999, People magazine names him the sexiest man of the century. He is 69 years old. He responds with the same complete indifference to other people's opinions he has demonstrated for half a century. He retires, goes to the Bahamas, plays golf. He is done performing for anyone. On October 31st, 2020, at age 90, Sean Connery dies in his sleep in Nassau. The world pauses, not because a movie star died, but because a certain quality of person, a certain specific gravity, a certain refusal to be anything other than exactly what you are, went out of the world. The legacy. The numbers are staggering if you want numbers. 7 Bond films, box office totals in the billions, adjusted for inflation, an Oscar, a BAFTA, 3 Golden Globes, a career spanning 6 decades, a knighthood in 2000. But here is what the numbers do not capture. Every actor who has played Bond since 1962 has been compared to him first. Not to each other, to him. That is a standard of presence no other single performance in cinema history has established so permanently. Acting coaches still use his work as primary study material, not for technique in the classical sense, for something harder to teach, the way he holds stillness, the way he occupies space, the way he looks at another person on screen as if they are the only thing in the room worth looking at. That is Fountainbridge. That is the milkman's discipline. The lesson. There is something in this story that has nothing to do with acting. The man who stands on a wet London pavement in 1967 and gives everything he has to a trembling stranger is the same man who delivered milk at 5 in the morning. The same man who polished coffins by lamplight. The same man told, repeatedly, that he was too rough, too working class, too Scottish, too everything. He never argued, never performed softness for anyone's comfort, never changed his accent or his walk or the specific, unmistakable weight of himself. He just kept moving, forward, at his own pace, and the world came to him. Class is not a bank balance. It is not a postcode or a school or a surname. It is the ability to look at a trembling old man on a rainy street and see a human being who deserves your full attention and every penny in your pocket, and then to walk away without needing anyone to witness it. That is Sean Connery. That is the whole story. A black and white photograph, London, 1965. Sean Connery stands on a street in a dark overcoat, collar turned up against the cold. He is not posing. His jaw is set. His eyes are calm. He looks like a man who has already survived everything the world was going to throw at him and has simply decided to keep walking anyway. Class is permanent. Grit is forever. Subscribe, like, hit the bell. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Leave one word in the comments that describes Sean Connery to you. Just one word.